Meanwhile, ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa is set to appear before the party's Integrity Commission over the alleged cover-up of a 2020 robbery at his Phala Phala farm in Limpopo. For some analysis, political analyst Sandile Swana joins me now. A very good afternoon to you. I suppose doing big deals in cash has a certain kind of reputation. It can look dodgy, although it doesn't necessarily mean it is. It's not something you want to associate with a head of state like President Cyril Ramaphosa. What do you make of the EFF's position on this matter?
The EFF's position on the matter are perhaps even similar to the DA and UDM, which have been the three organizations leading the charge initially against Jacob Zuma. It seems to be in keeping with their historical character. And then again, their problem, all of them, UDM, DA, and EFF, have known for some time that you cannot choose between ANC factions because ANC corruption is systemic. And ANC members and ANC supporters of Cyril Ramaphosa fail to see or become very insensitive to the fact that there is a lot of what goes under the banner of private sector corruption. And what we're dealing with right now with Cyril Ramaphosa would be in the broad umbrella of private sector corruption.
Now, the EFF has said that they'll be submitting to Parliament questions that will ensure that President Cyril Ramaphosa is held accountable. Some of the questions are, of course, questions around who bought the game and where and when, as well as will he open a case to the police. What do you imagine to be the impact of this on the president, especially ahead of the ANC's National Elective Conference in December, where the president is seeking a second term?
Inside the ANC, the president is very likely to survive this particular scandal because he's managed to gain dominance in the NEC of the ANC and in a lot of structures. So, and it is well known that he's got a lot of billionaires on his side. So to the extent that ANC presidencies are bought, and that is the main determining factor of who becomes president, I think that is quite safe.
Now, we also know that more and more questions are arising over the forex and cash theft at the president's farm. It's since emerged that there is a serious omission of this in the South African Police Service's annual report, which then compromises perhaps a key oversight and accountability tool.
Yes, the head of security at the time, whether they call it VIP security, was asked to investigate this. As a full-time professional police officer in his own right, he should have followed the correct procedures. The president becoming aware of such a large crime having been committed should have taken the active steps of reporting a crime of this nature, more especially that it is a cross-border crime involving Namibia and Namibians and so on. So this crime is the type of crime ideally that an upright citizen of the Republic of South Africa should have actually reported to the police. And I must add that in order to combat crime, you must deal with petty crime and any other crime. The more you deal with crime, the more crime reduces. There must be no crime that you say this one must not be attended to.
Just going back to some of the remarks that came out of the EFF conference, we heard Leader Julius Malema saying that the EFF doesn't have confidence in the law enforcement officials of the country, also speaking to SARS and the South African Reserve Bank, saying that they will not investigate the evidence presented by Arthur Fraser, well, raising some suspicions around there. And then, in turn, listening into how the EFF is saying that they won't allow a smear campaign to be run against a whistleblower, and that those who try and poke holes into Arthur Fraser's credibility may be misleading.
Yes, unfortunately, sometimes some of the great breakthroughs in criminal cases, the evidence come from a participant even in crime itself. There was this fellow, Agrizi, for instance, in the state capture, who I think more than anybody else took us into the inner workings. But he was heavily implicated in those crimes. Actually, somebody could have said he has no credibility, but because he was heavily implicated in crime himself, that gives him the credibility. I think that Arthur Fraser has walked the darkest passages in this country. He knows some of the darkest secrets in this country. And as a nation, we've got to milk him for all the facts about crimes that have been committed by the upper class and the ruling elites of South Africa, so that we can deal with the roots of this crime. There is a culture of crime in the upper class of South Africa.
The president also said that the allegations by Fraser were part of a plot to deter him from fighting corruption. Perhaps now, what do you believe may be the perceptions being made about the president's image of being a corruption buster?
I think the issue of being a corruption buster is neither here nor there. But Sandile said all of us in the NEC have got smaller nyana skeletons, and that would have included Cyril Ramaphosa. Halima Montlanda said corruption is everywhere, in the ANC and in the government of the ANC. Thabo Mbeki said corruption is systemic, which means it's in the veins, it's in the bone marrow, it's in the bones, it's in the muscles of the ANC and the government of the ANC. So to say Cyril Ramaphosa is a corruption bastard, this, that, and the other, is really cannot be taken too seriously at all.
Very well. Thank you so much for your time. Political analyst Sandile Swana joining in there, elaborating on some of the assertions around President Cyril Ramaphosa.